He went in pissed off because they hadn't met about it yet, and he felt like the odds were stacked against him.
If you don't like the tush push, I think the two best things that could happen for you to get this thing outlawed: a famous injury, someone who's a star on a team, a quarterback or a star defender even, that gets rolled up on, that everybody knows gets hurt, and then they're going to come back and vote against it. Or
I haven't heard the wet dream comment since maybe high school. I haven't used that.
Yeah.
And
even if one occurred, it's not like you're rushing to tell everyone about it.
That's right. But you understand the
But when a man in his 60s or 70s that owns an NFL team uses it, it's definitely in an unusual context.
Yeah, and you know he's frustrated about something. Jeffrey Lurie reportedly did that, according to Seth Wickersham. And this was all involving the vote and the long meeting that took place and the long speech that took place surrounding the tush push for the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a massive success rate on the play, as we all know. And NFL owners, Roger Goodell, Troy Vincent, they don't like it. Now, the play still is allowed. It was 2 votes short of being banned at the NFL spring meetings in their general session meeting. And some owners talk, some don't. Jerry Jones does. And Jerry Jones, he was explaining to reporters who were there covering this event in Minnesota which side that he took on the vote to ban the play.
Main focus of the tush push, and here we are debating it and having to decide, am I really against the tush push or just don't want Philadelphia to have it? And I sit there and fight that too.
Which one do you think it is?
When they're making presentation.
Which one is it for you?
I don't know. I flip-flop.
He flip-flops.
No, he said he flipped on it, I thought he said.
He flip-flops.
Which is for you, I don't know.
I flip-flop.
Flip-flop or flipped on it?
I don't know. I flip-flop is the direct quote from
It's hard to make
story.
out old Jerry in a huge room with different acoustics surrounded by media members sometimes. So
yeah.
He didn't know exactly what he said.
That's fair. He's not afraid of the acoustics or the media horde.
No.
He'll
talk. He'll be talking.
Yeah. He talked was Jeffrey Lurie, apparently for an hour. He gave an hour speech on defending the tush push and why it should be remain in play. Now, here's why he did that. Reports were that he came into the room, into the meeting, hearing the night before, the afternoon before, that they were going to vote in a large way to ban the play. And that Roger Goodell specifically wanted it banned, that Troy Vincent was against the play, and he went in pissed off because they hadn't met about it yet, and he felt like the odds were stacked against him. So he gives an hour-long presentation speech that includes Jed York. It was so long that Jed York...
Over an hour. He stepped in after the over an hour mark.
Jed York says, and he got a little bit of laughter, but not much because there was tension in the room. Owner of the San Francisco 49ers says, how much more shit needed to be said in this presentation is the quote that was used here. He chastised Troy Vincent and went after Goodell for wanting this play outed. He used Alan Sills, who's the NFL's medical expert, as an example of who he's talked with about everyone pointing to injury, specifically Goodell pushing that at the Super Bowl. Injury on the play, with the stats and the facts are just not there for the tush push, saying that they're trying to force this through based on health and well-being for the player when it looks as though the average injury is happening on the average play for that particular play. Nonetheless, he went in frustrated. And he, at one point, says, Chad, the fact that I have a team that has a play that is so successful, that the rest of our ownership, who he's standing in front of, and he's also in front of executives from the teams, the fact that our ownership wants this play banned is a win-win for me. And he's like a teenage boy having a wet dream. That is, tried to exaggerate the fact that he's the Super Bowl champion owner and he's got a play that everybody hates because no one can stop it. And it's the mic drop that pissed off Troy Vincent because he said there were women present in the room. And Troy Vincent got after him. Lurie went back at him. And, the wet dream for a teenage boy is the quote from Wickersham. on this.
I can't help but like Lurie a little bit more after this. Like, first off, such an uncomfortable analogy to make.
I know.
Especially in a room full of and the women that are in the room are really old too, right? Like the owners that
Most
are present.
Yeah.
You know,
and there could be other executives there too.
Yeah, like making that joke around, your grandma would be quite the move. But Jeffrey Lurie went all in on the joke. I don't know if he prepared this the night before. He was so mad that he went in there and spoke for over an hour. Was there a PowerPoint presentation that alluded to the wet dream?
They had
also, or did it just come up in conversation?
It was absolutely prepared because Jason Kelsey was a part of this presentation. He got up and spoke in front of the owners and mentioned how the prowess of the offensive line was so impressive in Philadelphia that's why the play is successful. It's not because they're pushing and pulling and all this stuff, which Jerry Jones acknowledged, by the way. Jerry Jones, in his media scrum, acknowledged, he goes, that he made a good point about the offensive line just being so great. Like, he's got a point. And then they also brought in their assistant general manager, who also spoke on behalf of the play itself. Now, it did not pass, which is unusual. We'll ask Armando Salguero about this, and I know he'll write about this too at OutKick if he hasn't already. But it's unusual because they don't hold a vote unless they know it's going to pass, normally. There were things that they table. And this is one that they have kicked down the road a bit. And it's 22-10. They needed 24 votes for it to pass that it wouldn't be allowed. And, yeah, I mean, it's some of those teams that didn't vote for it. I'm curious as to why. That vote for the ban.
Yeah.
Because the majority of ownership wants it gone, but they don't have the percentage to make it be gone.
Well, again, and going back to what I said about Lurie, I respect the game and the hustle and the attempt at comedy and the fact that the competitive spirit, because I'd feel the same way. I don't know that I use that analogy, but I'd feel the exact same way if my team that I owned created a play that was within the rules and so dominant that it got the entire league wanting to ban it. I'd feel pretty great about myself and my team too. And I'd give a big high five to my coaching staff and my players that we perfected and executed a play so well that the rest of the league had to bitch about it and try to vote it down, even though it was completely legal before. I'll also say I think it takes one horrific injury of someone getting rolled up in this rugby scrum as all those bodies are moving forward and someone breaks a leg or something, and if it's a star player especially, I think they need one incident of that happening for someone to – probably not an Eagle player because they're still going to want to do it. Maybe unless it's Jalen Hurts. But for them to come back and say, okay, now it's a risk, right? We're not playing rugby. We're playing football. We don't need a rugby scrum type play like this. So we're going to change the rule for that reason.
Yeah.
And the Jerry Jones part of this where he's arguing, well, hey, it's really kind of a competitive thing because they're so good at it. I don't want it. I don't want
the team,
my rival to be able to do it anymore. Reminds me of the Lou Alcindor rule in college basketball. Keep in mind, this has been done before, where the NCAA banned dunking from 1967 to 1976. Why? Because Lou Alcindor came from New York City to Westwood and dominated around the rim. And they claimed injury concerns, that there were 1,500 injury incidents around the basket, and you could no longer dunk for that reason. And they went right back to dunking in 1976. This would be the NFL version of the Lou Alcindor rule, where you're taking something that is dominant, that's within the rules, but because it's too dominant for one team, or in the Lou Alcindor instance, one player, they're going to change it. And they're going to modify the rules to not give that team an advantage. So
Jeffrey Lurie is also frustrated because they're pointing to player safety in this. And it's not about that. It's about exactly what you're rolling out. It's about the success rate, and like no one else can do it to that level of perfection. Lurie apparently brought up the fact that here's the data that shows that the play is very, very safe, actually, compared to the perception of what they're pushing, Goodell in the league, and said it's a precision play, and it's very practiced, which it shows. And he says, we devote a lot of resources to the tush push. And then he adds in that Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds as a part of the reason why this is so successful. It's like, I've just got the better player on the play. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
Terry Pagula came in and said the same thing. He said, we're actually very good at it, and I'm voting it down. But with Josh Allen at his size and strength and ability, The Bills are good when they decide to utilize a play that's very similar.
And Lurie said, if there were any injury concern, I would be concerned. Kelsey came in to speak on behalf of the injury concerns and how it's a very, very safe play. Now, there's no safe play in football, right? Unless you're taking the knee. But, you could have non-contact injuries. But, this is the same league ownership that just voted for players to participate in the Olympics and flag football right before the season starts. So, is it player safety or, you get where I'm going with that. If you're worried about your star player getting hurt, you don't vote for that unless you want the money. And the other owners they're not winning because Philadelphia is winning on that play.
And I think that it was 22-10 in this vote.
22-10.
I think one big injury will change it. I think if this came back up, that it would take one significant, famous injury on this play, and they'd probably vote it down.
Some teams push the pile forward so I'm curious as to why they had 9 other owners vote not to ban it. Like, hey, we're going to focus on the 22. Why did other owners decide to back Lurie? And it's one of two things to me. Either the team that the owner that voted in favor of this, they have coaching staff, general manager, whoever, that has convinced them that there are elements of this play, not the specific play, but elements of the play that they want to use or currently use. For instance, short yardage situations. It's not Philadelphia that has the best conversion rate on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. In fact, it's Baltimore and Pittsburgh that have a better success rate on those downs than Philadelphia has, even though they have the tush push. I'm not saying I know that those two teams voted no on not to ban it. I'm saying there were 9 that did, and it's either that or there's some political game being played where they owe Lurie something, or they want Lurie to owe them something on another vote coming up. There is that game that is played at these meetings. But normally, Goodell doesn't back something so definitively unless he knows he's getting it done. He wants this done. And
I think this all goes back to poor tackling. And here's what I mean by that. This was never a thing, Hutton, when we were growing up, even watching football. Guys got tackled and went down.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody went for the lower body on the tackle or a great form tackle right to the midsection. And when fumbles happen, it's because a big hit and it jarred the ball loose. But once we started going to this, let's hold the offensive player up and have guys come in and try to strip the ball constantly, then the response to that was, okay, if you're going to do that and not bring the ball carrier to the ground, our offensive linemen and other players are going to come shove them from behind in a rugby form and move them forward while you're trying to rip the ball out. My argument always is blow the whistle quicker when that happens.
Exactly.
Because you don't want the player, everybody on the team's coming in trying to punch the ball out, trying to rip it out. Don't think that's fair for the offensive player. But the offense has then turned it to their advantage where if our guy can hold on to the ball, we're going to come push him from behind and get a lot more yards. This is a derivation of that. It all started with poor tackling by defenders, not taught the proper way. Guys trying to make either highlight reel tackles or standing guys up and not bringing them to the ground and trying to rip the ball out. And then the offense's response is the tush push eventually. It morphed into that where, hey, we've worked out this way to execute it to perfection where our entire team is basically going to carry the ball. And we are going to run over you like a herd of elephants and just march right down the field behind our big quarterback. And I think it all stems from poor tackling.
Yep. And Chad, I agree with you. If there's a critical injury to a star player, we're going to see this. The 2 extra votes needed will happen. But here's a part of the presentation reportedly included Lurie or someone that he brought up there that was too long for Jed York, acknowledging that injuries have already happened on the play. The New York Giants, they had 2 injuries happen on this play against Philadelphia, John Michael Schmitz and tight end Daniel Bellinger. The Chiefs don't run quarterback sneaks because Mahomes hurt his knee back in 2019 on a quarterback sneak. And Kelsey got up there, and this is a quote, "Nobody practices on Wednesday at the tempo it's going to be in the game because we've had so many reps the past 2 years on that play. We have a better breadth of knowledge on how to hit the nuances and all the work that we go in the same direction. I think it adds up. It might not seem like a lot, but each time you run it, you gain, okay, this is what happened on that one. If I do this, I can do that." And they know how to push and shove and make it happen. That's what it comes down to. Now, if every team did it, then it looks like rugby.
Yeah.
the fact that it's just one team at this high success rate means other owners just don't want to lose to that play on a high. It's not a play that they run all that often. It just happens whenever they're in short yardage. They know they're going to get the first down on 4th and 1. So again, like they don't want to have to face that.
If you don't like the tush push, I think the two best things that could happen for you to get this thing outlawed: a famous injury, someone who's a star on a team, a quarterback or a star defender even that gets rolled up on, that everybody knows gets hurt, and then they're going to come back and vote against it, or everyone else in the league gets so good at it that it becomes too much of a rugby play and it's not as exciting when everyone starts doing it.
It's definitely the injury
if
factor.
everyone borrows from the Eagles and can have their own version of the tush push, and everybody suddenly gets a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 by doing the tush push, I think the owners then will say, yeah, it's not as exciting anymore. It's dull to watch, and we're going to vote against it.
Yeah, and there was another injury brought up. It was a defender that tried to sky over the line on the tackle and got hurt. Like that's not. You mentioned the form and all that. Like that's not the way you want to try to stop that play. But to the injury that could occur is what's going to potentially get this banned, not the injuries that have happened. And the hypocrisy of it is what Lurie went in fuming about when they compared it. The fact that he's got a win-win no matter what, because he fought. I think he was fighting it knowing he was going to lose the vote. So that's why he throws in. It's a win-win, guys. Like, you guys are going to ban it. And that's a win for me because it's a play that's so successful that you don't have a coaching staff that can implement this. And I'm the one who's the Super Bowl champ, and we have a play that you hate so much that you want outlawed. So it's like a teenage boy having a wet dream.
And by the way, and Jed York did kind of speak for everybody in the room.
Yeah.
When he said, "How much longer do we have to listen to this shit?"
And there was a couple of laughs, according to Wickersham, a couple of laughs.
I think everybody's so afraid to show they side with one side or the other that they just be quiet. They'll stay quiet.
There was like a tense moment because Troy Vincent then spoke up.
Yeah.
And went after Lurie.
Troy Vincent, Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, former Eagle. Yeah. So here's how the Eagles responded: 26 minutes of the tush push, a compilation. This is how they
if it's going to die, you might as well go out with a bang.
That's right.
Let's go back and watch.
And then the Philly faithful, they took it a victory lap as well. Get the push on the tweet here. Push on. Well done.
The Eagles victory tour, they're kind of crushing it. I mean, the schedule release video where they just took a chance to use the Philadelphia Orchestra to show their Super Bowl trophy to the entire league, and that was it.
I mean,
this is the brag tour right now for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So if they ban the play, there would be ways that Sirianni and company would find ways to implement another way to do this. But it's the pulling and the pushing part that really, you're not supposed to be able to do that.
You can't pull, but you can push.
But there's a lot of pulling that goes on there.
Yeah.
What
if they just did it like a muddle huddle? Like they ban it, from under center, but then they snap it to the side or something, and they just go to the right, but it's the same concept.
Same concept, yeah.
With a different player that's not the quarterback.
And they would be able to practice it. See, that's the thing, is like they can practice it and perfect it. Kelsey's saying this because of their offensive line. There are other good offensive lines. There are other teams that could do it. I mean, I know Buffalo's saying that they've had success with it too, but even you mentioned they're even voting against it.
Could you go double tush push and have, as long as you have enough guys in the line of scrimmage, where you sort of muddle huddle it on either side, and you break them out, and you have 3 linemen in front of one player, 3 linemen in front of another, snap to the quarterback, go quick to right or left. They don't know which way they're going, and you can only have so many. It's a numbers game, right? It's a math equation at that point. You're trying to guess which side they're going to. Then you have the big offensive lineman on the outside pushing for a guy. I
mean, yes.
These are the types of ideas that Jeffrey Lurie employs on his staff that none of the other 31 teams can figure out. And he just wanted to remind those teams for over an hour that we're smarter than you, and it sucks for you that you can't employ people that can figure out a way to stop it or come up with a better play.
Yeah, we know you're going to ban this. And he ended up having enough votes to keep the play for at least another year. The other point of emphasis, Chad, was I forgot where I was going to go now. There was another funny moment in that in that room.
During the conversation on the Tush push?
Yeah, on the Tush push. We'll pick up with Armando on that.
I'm sure Armando has thoughts.
Yes. I would love to know what was said privately with Goodell and company after the vote came back. Because he's been on this, this campaign to get it done.
I'd love to see and I've been watching all these untold documentaries on Netflix. I'm watching about the Liver King right now, didn't know much about the Liver King going in, but I know a lot now. And I finished the follow Brett Favre when they're getting into the roids. So I'm 30 minutes away from finishing it. I'd love to see some sort of documentary about all of the survivor-like alliances of NFL owners and different groups that are friends, and just go through the years of so many of these people have been together for so long at all these owners meetings and all the big votes that have happened, and how they vote along alliance line with different owners and friendly, and then the ones that hate each other, that go out for drinks after the meeting and talk bad about the other ones. I'd love to get the inside scoop of the Real Housewives NFL edition.
Yes.
Instead of Real Housewives of Orange County, the greatest of the Real Housewives.
Best of the best.
Hud and I have agreed with that for years, going back to 2007, season 2. Yep. One of the best seasons of Real Housewives of Orange County. Real Housewives of the NFL with all the owners. I would follow that 10-part docuseries of all the different likes, dislikes, alliances. Everything that goes into it would be fascinating.
How many episodes would be on Jerry Jones alone?
I think 4 of the 10.
Yeah, probably.
You could probably dip into different alliances Jerry has in at least 40% of the season.
Yeah. And by
10 hours of it, 1 hour episodes, 10 parts, everything about the relationships of NFL owners to other owners.
We mentioned, we think better of Jeffrey Lurie, just how he went in and just chastised the owners for he thought it was going to be a no vote before he even walked in the room. How about Jerry Jones? Just basically saying, the play is the play, but I just hate the team, so screw them.
I hate the Eagles and I hate Jeffrey Lurie, so I voted no for that reason.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the game or what I think about the play. It's just those guys suck. But over an hour, that's a long time to talk about one play.
So I think,
and the circumstances
totally
around it, that is a long presentation.
I think he went in, personally.
I would vote no just in spite of having to sit there for that long.
So
even if I agreed with him.
But here's why it was so long. I think they had a presentation that was going to be a certain amount of time. I don't think it was going to be an hour. And I think Lurie went in pissed off and added to it with his own, he just went off the cuff.
Yeah.
And then they had the presentation. Because they were just going through the motions, I guess, because he thought he was going to lose.
I don't pretend to speak for the billionaire or billionaires anywhere, but when I get really pissed off and I'm emotionally angry about something, I don't go on an hour-long diatribe.
No, it's at church, how long before you look at your watch if the pastor's up there?
My pastor's a solid 17 to 25-minute
if it's
sermon
26,
person.
It's
and when it's 15, that's the sweet spot for me. But when it gets over 20, you're everybody's looking at the watch.
What is this?
Thinking, what is going on
is
here?
Easter?
Am I going to get to what is the steakhouse from Righteous Gemstones, whatever the name of that place is?
Yeah.
I need to get there for lunch after church.
The one here is Serrato's.
At Serrato's, I need to get to Serrato's. I've got my reservation at Serrato's. Am I going to make it? I can't imagine being so mad that I then followed up with an hour-long presentation.
Yeah.
Here's how mad I am. It'd probably just be a few expletives and saying some things and then marching off out of the room. But this guy spoke for an hour.
Yeah, I know. Ridiculous. Let's see, what the ownership show that you're mentioning?
Yeah.
The 10-part series?
Real Housewives of the NFL?
Jim Irsay definitely would be featured on that.
Yeah.
The Colts owner passes away at the age of 65. R.I.P. to Jim Irsay.